Okay, good morning. So today is the long-awaited cellar tour. I've got my my frontal lamp on because it is dark in there. I'll try and film it as best as possible, and bear with me. So we're going to start off here, which is underneath the terrace. I will put the plan back in. Not all of the cellars connect. In fact, we have 3 separate non-connecting areas, which we'll go and look at now. So let's get on with it. I'm trying to do better about holding the camera steady. So this is the first cellar underneath the terrace, which is open on 2 sides. Some of you will recognise it because it's also here where the septic tank is. So I ran that pipe down in an earlier video. As with everywhere else in this house, there's stuff pretty much everywhere. We will eventually get to skip and get rid of everything, but it's not very high up on the list of priorities at the moment because we're not using much down here. This is just the rain drain from the terrace. It runs down here, and there is a drain there that goes under the road. So from here, which has, I discovered from one of your comments, a groin, which means a 4-way arch which crosses in the middle. We go up here. Now if you look carefully, you'll see that there were different entrances. There's a lintel there. Now most of this down here would have originally been the living space. So we're going to come in now here. This is underneath the kitchen building. Again, we have a vaulted ceiling and then a double arch to hold everything up. A little window out. So almost all of the cellars are lit. It's just this back part here that isn't so well lit, or at least have windows. Tables and tables of stuff. We've got wheels and old lawn mowers and everything. This is where the mains water comes in, so I've done that. We will be tidying it up a little bit more at some point in the future. So we go back here now. I'm going to turn my my light on. There we go. So this is, well, there are 2. You see there's one over there and one here. These are the natural stones that are the base foundation of the house. This is what they started with. And these big stones here are the oldest part of the house. So this is probably somewhere around the 13th century. Above us here we have the entrance hallway. That's not particularly old. It was done on steel girders with concrete. And behind at that end we have that that little cellar that comes off the smoking room. There's no connection from here through to the rest of the house. So this is just an original wall, but this is the outside part of it, because this, where we stood now, is much newer than what is there. So a little bit of saltpeter there, which is fine. Down here, it will ventilate. So here, however, we're running water in from the landing at the top of the outdoor staircase. So that'll have to be looked at, and it's seeping in through this wall here when it rains, because the floor there isn't done properly, and yeah, well, we just have to deal with that at some point in the hopefully near future. So that's the first cellar room. We're going to move on to the second one now. So here we are on the other side now of the staircase. We have this little stone arch, and under here a paved courtyard. There is some building stuff here, but mostly this is just because this is where they used to store wood up until a couple of years ago. The neighbours stored wood here. So that's what all of that is, and that'll have to be removed at some point. So our first building here is this on the right. This is underneath what will become the master bedroom. Stone lintel, little double doors. So we come in here, get the light on. We have a little partition wall, but originally this would also have had a groin ceiling. I'm learning and learning. Basically a woodshed. Got a millstone, some old saws. I don't even want to think what's in that jar. Old doors that are, repurposed just to hold together bits of the cellar. And in here, well, again, here you can actually see the ceiling bolt somewhat better. It was whitewashed, obviously, a long time ago. Of these posts for hanging, I presume, hams at some point or something along those lines. And the arched window out. So that was obviously rebuilt at some point because the bricks are newer than most of the things here. So we're going to go back out. We're going to now go into the oldest cellar. Also the one that you all should probably be most acquainted with. This is directly underneath the little bathroom we built. Those are the downpipes. So you would have all seen what's on in here. This is our very old stone wall. We have a little window over here. So as of about here, obviously that sink is up against the wall. As of about here, we're behind, well, we're underneath that little corridor at the back. So you can see there's not an enormous amount holding the stones together, but the house has never moved, so seems to be okay. Now from here, we have this, this insert arch, which is going to take us through to the next room. So here we are on the other side. We are now underneath the living room. We've got a wall with niches. We have two windows. They are outside, almost floor level. These huge beams stuck up on the post, because this is the only room that has a wooden floor, so held up by joists and beams. The door over there goes back out to the woodshed. And what we'll do is we'll just have a look at the various elements in here. So we have a lot of furniture, as with everywhere else. There is a dresser there, some bits of wood, some bits of guttering, but unfortunately all already rotten. And then in the corner, so this is the electricity line that we ran down from the corner of the living room, which still needs to be connected up. Here's our door that goes out. See with a sort of vertical stone outline and beams, but it did. If you look at the way the stone is, this will initially have been a door that opens inwards. Here are the old, well, there's one old hinge, and then obviously replaced on the outside at some point. We're in the second oldest part of the house here, so underneath the living room, and this doesn't connect again with the other cellars, so that's about it. We've got some stoves. This is an ancient fridge which is upside down, some old windows, that dresser, a glass door, presumably from a cupboard, one of the cupboards that's probably here in pieces. So again, furniture, 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 endless furniture. So for the third and final cellar, or individual cellar building, we're in the back building here, which is what we will eventually convert into kids' bedrooms. And we're going to go down through this not very good condition trapdoor. So, takes us down off this little stone staircase, which is very steep. So, again, earth floor, and here we have all number of wonders. So there's a window that goes up to street level, so we're on the same side as the two windows out of the one under the living room. And this, well, this was used for food storage and for wine. There's a door here that goes out onto the street. There's an arch and sort of a miniature parking space there. But, come to that later. Let's look at what we have here. This is, I think most of you will recognise this. This is for storing hams. There are little strings, hams and salamis, and cheese. Keeps the flies and the rodents out. Still in excellent condition. Up here we have some wine, some red. I'm not going to try it. We have some, I don't know if that's supposed to be white wine. I have no idea what that was, but again, probably not worth having. Big bottles, mind. Looking at, 1.5 litres probably. Let's see if it says something underneath. No, it doesn't. But I don't think there's anything really worth drinking in there. Here, Woodshed. That one's empty, but those are basically just for picking up wine from the vineyard when you bottle it yourself. Now these are sort of beer bottle caps, but over here in the corner, this blue instrument of torture is actually for putting corks into bottles. You see the mechanism squeezes the cork together, and then you plunge it into the bottle. And underneath that, we have this cage here, and this cage, as you can still see, was used to store onions once they dried up on top of the veranda, and probably potatoes as well at some point. Here we have another wine container, some medium-sized bottles. There's a wine container, there's another one, and another one, and another one. And some of them probably still have some wine in them. A couple more over there. There's what's that? That's a sewing machine, some bottles, some fabulous electricity, which obviously isn't connected, or I hope isn't connected. So let's start digging through what's inside the furniture. So this is oh, what a surprise. Wine bottles. I don't know if any of you grew up in 80s London, but in 80s London, on every Italian restaurant, on every table, there was a wrapped bottle of wine with a candle stuck in the top of it. Let's see if we... Superiore. No year. Okay. So over here, more wine cubies, another set of wheels from an old 4x4. I'm going to put these bottles down on the ground. We'll have a look, see what's in that one there. Okay, so I've taken the bottles off the top. I've never opened this. Probably hasn't been opened in a long time, so looks like it's going to open. Oh, nothing in here at all. But a very, very, very beautiful, well-made, oops, well-made chest. If you saw how much. Sorry about that, just getting rid of some spiders off my shoulder. So the last one to look at is this. This looks like it has 2 lids. Oh look, there's a bag of corks, extra. And again, not much in there except spiders. But in fact, if you look at the bottom, you can still see some chestnuts. So that would have been for the chestnuts before they made flour, whereas most of them were actually for storing the chestnut flour itself. So there we go. So that's the end of the cellar tour. I hope you found it interesting. There are lots of features, lots of things to see. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, then like it, tell other people about it, subscribe, and come back soon for much more.